Tell us about this shot.
That's my beautiful little sister. She had, all through her childhood, she had, her teeth were crowded on one side, and she hardly ever smiled. This is one of the few photos where she's smiling. And one of the greatest things that I've ever done in my life was when I just started out doing comedy, Brian. There was a competition in Canberra called Green Faces, right? And all comedians from all the states fly to Canberra and compete for 5K, prize money. Oh, wow. Prize money and extra gigs, it's worth 5K, right? And I was a young comic, and I won the Sydney heat, and I won all these semi-finals, and I got to the grand final. 11 o'clock, they announced the winner, Anh Do. I straight away went off stage, looked for a phone, and I called my mum, and she'd been waiting up with my sister to wait for the news.
Yeah.
I said, Mum, I won. We're going to fix Tram's teeth. And, you know, my mum has so much faith in me.
Yeah.
You know, I can't believe she waited up. What if I didn't win?
Does she watch your comedy, your mum?
Yeah, my mum, you know, doesn't understand a lot of my comedy. She goes, why are they laughing?
What's funny?
And, you know, she just goes, Aunt's always like that at home. So, but my sister, she got her teeth fixed.
Well, I think it's an appropriate way to finish. Look at that.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Beautiful. When was that taken?
That was on her wedding day.
Oh, there you go. That's, it's just what I used to wear around the house. Next photo. It's better than naked. That was my first performance. Actually, that's a lie. My dad always says my first performance was they had friends around for dinner, drinks, whatever it may be. And I was apparently just a child in nappies. And apparently I'd figured something out, and I must have done it all on my own, but I decided to display my new discovery. And I'd run into the lounge room. We had polished floorboards at the time. Well, there they are. And I went in there with just a singlet and my nappy on. And pulled my nappy down and flopped straight on the floor with my bare bum and let one rip. And it went... It made a...
Wow.
It didn't have that noise in it, because that would have been weird. There would have been...
That's right.
Piercings in my rear end. But... And then pulled up my nappy and ran, and apparently he said, that kid is going to be a problem. But...
Or that kid will make a film about Portaloos.
Yeah. Or I just invented the first hovercraft.
Yes. What are you doing? Is that a routine?
It was. My mum had a calisthenics concert that happened there often every year. She'd put on a display, and one year there was a bunch of girls dancing, and I walked out as a cowboy, and I used to fire some guns, and I'd turn the guns on myself, pretend to shoot, and I'd fall over flat on my back, and they all clapped and laughed, and I would have been on stage for all of a minute. And I remember walking. I remember that feeling of walking out on stage, terrified before I walked out, and then energised the moment I got there. And at that point, I really do. I remember that moment very, very clearly. Here I am in a costume and I'm performing, and from that moment on, I wanted to keep doing it, and I did.
And you did.
But at that concert, I used to pull the curtain open at the start of the show, and I'd close it at interval, open it for the second act, and then close it at the end. And I would just turn a big wheel to turn the lights on. And I thought I was so important, closing that curtain. I used to always, people would say, how are you, Shane? Oh, good, I've got to get back to I've got to open the curtain for the start of the All these girls had spent an entire year learning these elaborate routines, and I just thought people would be impressed that it was the curtain. I just assumed people would be going, that's that young Jacobson kid. That's right. Never thinking there's parents in there just going, just hurry up and open the curtain, turn the lights on. We want to see our daughter dance.
From music to the theatre.
Oh, yes. Well...
How do you interpret that reaction?
That laugh burns like a ring of fire. That is me in the title role, Cabaret. I am your Sally Bowles right there. The Gosford Musical Society had a huge influence on my life. I went down to a few local productions and kept getting sort of funny little lead roles. This was one of them. But at the same time, I was also working part-time at the Gosford Police Station. And I remember for his birthday, and none of this is going to sound ideal, but I remember tap dancing on the desk of the superintendent for his birthday. He must have thought that I was a stripper. But I would have been just as happy having a life in Gosford and just going to the Gosford Musical Society, because the Gosford Musical Society really is just a small representation of what the rest of showbiz is all about.
Yes.
There's someone in charge, there's someone not in charge, there's someone rich who runs it, you know, like a whole, you know, fruit and nut bar. And I just loved it.
And has any of cabaret, any of those roles stuck with you?
Oh, I have been known to get up and sing.
Is there a slice of something?
Oh, look, I can't say it's ideal. You know, I haven't warmed up. Welcome and bienvenue, welcome. Of course, that's the MC, not Sally Bowles. But I've had a few dry white wines over the years and I've lost a lot of stuff. So, but I did love it.
What's the story with this shot, Mr. McAvaney?
And that was the Port Lincoln Cup. I'm not sure why I had the shirt off, to be honest, but it's a bit of a pose, isn't it?
Now, you said that it was a lucky break that got you into calling.
Look, I was working in the public service. I took a day off work to come to Victoria on a Monday. I took a sickie to back a horse, actually. And so I'm flying over here to back a horse on a sick day from the public service, and I'm sitting alongside someone I knew very well, and he was a broadcaster. And he twisted my arm and got me to go out and call some trotting trials. And so I did an audition in a very public place at the Trots at Gawler, and it was quite embarrassing, Brian, to be honest. And then one of the main callers left Adelaide and came to Melbourne, and I got offered the job, and one of the happiest days of my life.
Just kept going.
So that was about 6 months after I started, yeah.
Wow. And you said that you had this ambition to call a Melbourne Cup. You ended up calling...
I did four. The first one was Diana and Charles were the guest of honour.
Right.
And it was the first $1 million race in Australia. And, yeah, it was the most nerve-wracking day of my life. And all four of them, I can't tell you how nervous I was.
Really?
It was just so nerve-wracking, and at the end of it, it was just such a relief. But it's a dream come true.
And do you put horse racing in terms of commentating? Because you've done how many Olympics?
I've done 10, 7 summers and 3 winters, yeah.
So do you still put horse racing at the top?
It's my first love. So for me, it's special.
Wow.
But the Olympics is the ultimate, and I just love the footy. So there you go.
Yeah.
So I've been very fortunate.
Yeah, well, why pick one, really, when they're all...
But that was the dream come true, to call the cup.
I don't think anyone's looking at the perm. I think they're looking at the matching acid wash jeans.
Theatre sports?
Theatre sports.
Towards the end of high school?
Yep, that was my last year at high school. So someone had come back from Australia and heard about this amazing new thing called theatre sports. And so our drama teacher started teaching us, and then we did a sort of a community theatre sports competition and ended up winning it. And then from there, we started an improv company and started doing regular shows at the Court Theatre.
Wow.
And so I think that started in 1990, and they're still going in Christchurch. Every Friday night there's still an improv show. And even though the Court Theatre was partially destroyed in the earthquake, they've found a new spot for the Court Theatre. It's in a warehouse now, but it's still the same, and it's still there's still stuff going on. And I find that really exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, this is you clowning.
Yes.
How old are you here, Frank?
I think I might be about 17 there. When I was about 15, I dressed up as a clown and I roamed around trying to make people laugh. And I think that's really a bit peculiar. I don't know why I did that.
Not busking, not for money.
Not busking, not for money, just for the experience of doing it.
And did you have a clear idea of what you were going to do? Did you have some
Well, I
gags?
remember I actually brought this flower in just as an example because I knew this photo was coming up.
Yeah.
And it was just simple little things like I would get a flower and then I'd get all coy to a girl and kind of, you know, a bit flirty.
Yeah.
And I'd hand her the flower. And then I'd just go off with leave her with the stork. So, just like a simple little joke like that, and I would just do it
over
1,000
and over.
times, you know? And I don't know, I can't really explain what attracted me to that. And I don't do it because there's a market, you know, there's a niche I can fill there. I just do it because it's my interest, and I really don't understand why a lot more people aren't doing it, because it seems like a very natural thing to be attracted to.
Wow.
But maybe that's, I guess everybody people who, you know, you hear about people who can't become sexually excited unless they're getting pecked in the head by a magpie or something. Like, I don't know about that, but everybody has a little quirk.
That's right.
And for them, that's perfectly normal. Did that make sense?
No. And this is really early days of your performing career, but with the much-loved Bud Tingwell.
Yes, that was naughty, naughty girl #1 of many naughty girls that I played.
This is Homicide?
This is Homicide, and it's just an old stain. It's not actually a bullet hole there. And yes, I was 21 and I'd auditioned for the Melbourne Theatre Company and failed when I left university, which was a bit of a shock. And that meant you couldn't audition ever again.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah.
You weren't supposed
We weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
So Crawfords took me under their wing and I played all these roles, and then I was in The Box, and then The Sullivans, which really was the turning point because I was able to cry on cue, and
yes,
people think of that as being a good actor, so
yeah.
I was in.
It's it looks a little bit like a gay Captain Cook. I was a page boy.
Gee, you had all the good gigs.
Yeah, I don't know. I was at a partner, Tracy, and I was in love with her, but she didn't like me. I didn't have any money.
How old were you?
7. This is what Dad said to me. You ain't gonna have money. We had to stand, you know, the girls made their debut, or whatever you call it.
Debutantes.
Oh, no, they still. We had to stand there, and the buckles, it's gold cardboard. We cut it out with, it's like Liberace's son.
And you'd be there as they would make their...
They walked... I had no idea what they were doing. They went over there and did something, and we stood there. I love that. You know, I love anything getting in front of people.
Yeah. Showbiz calls.
Yeah.
Look at that. You're a gum nut.
I'm a gum nut, yes. I think I'm about 7, according to my mother. She also ran a dancing school in Perth, and that was our end-of-year concert. And I was see the girl on the right here? She's a blossom. And all little girls would much prefer to be a blossom, I can tell you that. So I felt a little bit gypped as a gum nut.
And yet it was your mother's company.
I think it was because she didn't want to show favouritism. You know, that whole thing, oh, you know, I'm being even to, you know, I'm treating everybody evenly, so I'm not going to make my daughter a blossom, I'm going to make her a gum nut.
And do you remember what you actually did as a gum nut?
Oh, I think at that age you just pretty much just run around and make shapes and stuff, don't you?
And you're extremely cute.
That's pretty cute.
Oh.
In a funny hat is pretty cute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
And it feels appropriate. Russell Gilbert doing stand-up.
That was a show I did with Glenn Robbins and Trevor Marmalade, and we toured it, and it was called Bizarre Laugh Triangle. Yeah. And I remember that night. I remember that jacket very well. That's... I tell you why I remember that night, because it was at the Dick Whittington Hotel, and it was Christmas, and we did the Christmas season, and that's why those balloons were up there, and that's how much money they went. They went crazy, didn't they? 3 balloons. God, enjoy yourself, boys. But that was really early on in my career.
Well, I could have been behind that curtain wearing a beret.
You could have been.
I used to do the Dick Whit.
You did do the Dick Whit, and we both... Look, I can be honest, we both started nearly exactly the same time, because we did our first gigs on Hey Hey It's Saturday in '85.
That's
and I think you did your first in '85. I did mine first in '85, and I remember watching Brian a la Raymond J. Bartholomew strutting your stuff and just wowing them every night, and it's great to see that we're still sitting opposite each other now.
That we're together.
God love you.
Ladies and gentlemen. All right, first band.
Yeah.
Rock Island. Oh, they're loving that. It's almost a mullet.
It is. And I'm wearing flares.
Oh, we can't see the flares.
No. Look, I started... I was a student at the Australian National University and fell in with a bunch of people who had a band and started driving the gear around for them because I had a truck driver's licence. That was my Elvis Presley moment.
You had a truck driver's licence?
Yeah, I did.
Really?
Yeah. And anyway, the band kept on changing. Yep. They had all sorts of people coming and going, and eventually they didn't have a singer, or the singer they had, you know, wanted to do something else, and they said, well, look, do you think you could do any better, or you could do it? And I said, look, I'm happy to give it a go. So we used to play at the uni to about 12 people and a dog. Covers.
Yes.
And we supported Sherbet in this period, who you would remember.
Yes.
And some people watching this may. I'm not so sure.
No.
And in Goulburn, at the Civic Picture Theatre in Goulburn, which is a beautiful old picture theatre, and we had to set up on the steps running down to the stage. We didn't actually set up on the stage itself, we actually played. So I stood with the microphone on one step, and then there was a guitarist on a step behind, and then the drummer sort of on the step.
What, because Daryl and Harvey were on the
I was their road crew.
Of course, not the band.
No, Daryl and I made up long ago on that one.
All right, final shot, and it's lovely because we bring it back to your mum and dad, and a little bit more recent.
Yes, this was the sort of... This is like the second time I played the West End, and it was... like, my mum's, like, very proud, and my dad was, like, ridiculously proud of me. And I did a month at the Garrett Theatre in the West End, and it's got this huge sort of... They were more impressed by the giant billboards than they were of the fact I was doing the show. Because it's just like, you know, these giant billboards on the front of the theatre. And so they said that the great thing about this photo is I actually took this photo. So they said, can you take a photo of us in front? And I went, you know, I'm actually here. You know, I could be in the photo. And they're like, no, but that version's bigger. That's a bigger... And so we took the photo there, and one of the weirdest things, I came out of the theatre one night, and this is where, like, I thought I was going to lose my mind. I came out of the theatre, and I hailed a cab, and the cab pulled up, and it had a poster for that show on the side of the cab. And so I waved him on, because I thought, I can't be seen. You can't, like, get in the... you can't get out of a cab, and, like, there's a picture of you, and you go, and then you're out of the thing. And that was... And then another night, I came out of the theatre, and I went to the bar, like, across the road, and I had my motorcycle gear on, and the bouncer went, you can't come in here with a motorbike gear on. And I said, well, I'm not a biker. I'm not like a bike... I'm in a bikey guy. I'm not like a, you know, crazy Hells Angels or something. I said, can I show you some ID? And the guy went, yeah, go on then. And I just pointed, and there's a billboard like that. Will that do?
Now, this is a Denise Scott that we may not necessarily imagine.
No, I did calisthenics for years. And in fact, my dad used to drive the team in the back of his sausage van to competitions and stuff. It was riotous because, you know, the back of the van...
would open.
Yes, and we'd just hold on to one another's legs and hang out the back waving at the car behind us. But occasionally Dad would take a corner really fast and the door would bang shut. So Dad'd be too... And we'd all be in the back screaming to my father, who wouldn't hear because he was in the front of the van. So we'd all just be in pitch blackness screaming.
Suffocating.
Yeah, suffocating. It was lucky we took out a prize.
Yeah. First rock and roll exploration with the Cockroaches.
Absolutely.
This is a version of the Cockroaches?
This really is. This is my brother John, and Tony Henry is on the drums, and I was playing the guitar. I was at boarding school with my brothers and my friends who made the Cockroaches. We went to one of the brothers and said, we'd like to do a concert and raise money for the missions, you know, the poor people in Africa. So they said, oh, that's great. Now, the brothers made a mistake of not supervising. They forgot about it. And so we got all these guys in. We charged them like 5 cents or 10 cents a ticket. Right, we made $10. We started doing these songs and the place was going nuts because they realised there was no brothers there. And they started rioting. Everybody, like some of the desks started getting smashed. All the guys were going crazy. It was like a prison riot, right?
False in prison.
Anyway, there was hundreds of dollars of damage. Yeah, mayhem. But it was the power of rock and roll, man.
Yes.
So gold record for Georgie Girl. But, I mean, so many hits. A World of Our Own, I'll Never Find Another You, Morningtown Ride. Is there one of those Seekers songs that you cherish the most?
Look, probably The Carnival Is Over, I suppose, feels the most personal for me. I mean, I mentioned before, of course, the lyric for Georgie Girl, and I do love that record. I love the production of it, just everything about it. It's a real pop record. But The Carnival Is Over hits me on a very emotional level, and it did the very first time Tom Springfield sang it to us. So I'm very grateful for that song. It meant a lot to me.
All right, bringing us right up to, well, up to date in terms of what you do. Early stand-up?
Early sermon, I think.
It is an interesting choice of jacket.
It was the only time I wore it. I actually had this. I had this for a wedding, I think, that I still had it on hire.
Did you feel like you were hot from the start with stand-up?
Oh, yeah, I did, because I had a great first gig. Just nailed that first gig. Second gig, went back about 3 weeks later, killed it. Like, this is better. This is a pretty easy gig. This is like, oh, my God, this is... Yeah, people say it's hard. It's not. Yeah. And went back the third week, and I thought, I'm going to mix things up a bit. I'm going to do a bit of improv, a bit of where are you from, a bit of what do you do. Didn't go very well because, like, died the dog's death. And, like, because I had nothing to say, I was like, where are you from? Craigieburn. All right. Well, what do you do for a living? I'm a dentist. Oh, yeah, good luck. I had no arsenal. You need like an arsenal of material to handle that kind of stuff. So like my sister had brought along a guy she just started seeing, who they're now married, thankfully. And like I hadn't met him, so she's like, "This is my brother we're going to see, you know, it'll be fun." And he's doing really well. He reckons it's pretty easy. And I met him after the gig, died. I remember getting to like 3 or 4 UDLs and just sitting on St Kilda beaches going, "Oh my God, this is what I thought I was going to do for a living, and now I'm not." You know,
what am I going to do?
It's kind of devastating.
Well,
but you need that. You need every.
You got to have it,
yeah.
and you kicked on magnificently.
Oh, well, thank you.
We've got to finish with the music.
This is me and my very, very lovely friend, Georgia. And when I was at university at the Con, I sort of worked my way through uni by playing in a little all-girl jazz combo that I had with a few of my friends.
Was there a name for this particular outfit?
Yes, there was, and it's so crappy.
Would you like to hear the name?
It was, thanks, guys. It was called LMNOP. Oh, God.
LMNOP?
Don't even say it! When you say it, oh, it's so terrible.
Oh, and what about your compadre, Georgia?
She lives in Melbourne and she's a very good vet and has a chihuahua and lives her life looking like Elle Woods from Legally Blonde.
Beautiful. I think that's an appropriate place to finish. Megan, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Megan Washington.